Historical Review Board meeting to order on Tuesday, August 18th, 2020 at 6 p.m. And then Rashay, you're going to swear in Mr. Hill.
That's correct. Mr. Hill, if you would raise your right hand and repeat after me, please. So do you swear that the testimony, oh, excuse me, hold on one second. Oh, hold on. This is me. Got it. Pardon me. So you will have to kind of repeat this after me, but I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth, and be faithful and true to the Commonwealth of Kentucky, so as long as I continue a citizen thereof, and that I will fully execute to the best of my ability the position of the Historical Review Board member according to law. And I do further solemnly swear to affirm that since the adoption of the present Constitution, I, being a citizen of the state, have not fought a duel with deadly weapons within the state, nor out of it, nor have I sent or accepted a challenge to fight a duel with deadly weapons, nor have I acted as second in carrying a challenge, nor aided and assisted any person thus offering, so help me God. And if so, just agree and say that you have not.
I have not, and I agree.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll have to have you sign a piece of paper for that, so we can have you come in sometime next week to do that. But we at least have that done so we can conduct this meeting. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Do we have a movement to approve the minutes from July's meeting? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from July's meeting.
Rick, could you second that, please?
I second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Motion carries. Excellent.
All right. So COA 2110 through 114, are we tabling those because I would have to recuse myself and we didn't have quorum?
So we can't even table it because you can't
No,
even
because
vote. Yeah, so basically
She's my neighbor who sent in the picture, but she was going to recuse herself for when I had my CO applications tonight, which they dismissed me tonight. So I'm not sure why.
We don't have quorum, Ms. Beavers, because Ms. Barkley is someone that lives close to you. So she's recusing herself from your applications.
Okay. Well, I get
Yeah,
that,
so-
but I'm not sure why she would be the one taking pictures for the HRB the day that my deck was being started. So she's going to recuse herself from the quorum. She needs to recuse herself from being a part of that any way, shape, or form.
Well, that's what's happening. And so we don't have quorum from that, Ms. Beavers. And I haven't received any pictures from any of my board members.
Yeah, it's the one that the stop work order came with. I'll send it to you via email.
Okay. Yes, so Ms. Barkley is not involved in your applications and she can't say anything or vote on that. And so what that means, though, unfortunately, is because we have two very HRB board members that had very critical situations tonight that could not be here, unfortunately. That means that we don't have three to meet that quorum. And so they are going to we'll have to do this in September when we can actually have a quorum to hear that. But Ms. Barkley will not be involved in your applications whatsoever.
Okay, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah. So we'll
and it would be greatly appreciated if she would not be taking pictures to add to any other situation. So thank you.
Okay, so we'll see you in September. I've sent you an email on that, okay?
Great, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, so those are off the agenda, Beth. And then so we're gonna start with 2084, which is Jessica Taylor.
Sorry, I'm trying to get into my stuff. Ms. Taylor, are you on this evening?
I'm Jack Kelly. I'm here for the.
Okay, Mr.
I'm the
Kelly.
owner of the building.
So can you give us a little rundown of what it is you're trying to do?
It's the building that formerly housed Salon, purchased the building, and we have rented out the retail space on the bottom to that cute little shop. And they're wanting to change the sign up above the awning and put a new sign in the window on the door.
Okay, so how many signs is that, Mr. Kelly, total that you're
Two.
wanting on?
Two. I think we previously talked about putting one in the large window.
Yes,
But she does not want to do that anymore. So it'll just be on the door and on the signage above the awning.
got it, okay. No.
Do we,
Okay. I
okay,
have some questions, if it's appropriate for me to ask questions.
of course.
Absolutely.
I'm not seeing materials. One, if I'm not seeing materials, I'm not seeing dimensions on this panorama sign. And I would typically want to see this sign on an elevation of the store so we can understand how that's really going to work.
She's not gonna go right now.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, did you hear my question?
Yeah, so he's asking for to see it on an elevation, so to see what it would look like. And so, Mr. Kelly, you stated it was on the door, and where else? I apologize.
There's a current sign above the awning that still says White Oak Salon right now. We're just going to recover that sign with what we had submitted before.
Got it, okay. And that's gonna be with the design that's presented in the application, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That's black that says that cute little shop, right?
Yeah. Yes.
It's going exactly on the existing sign, same mounting, same everything. So how will that, is that a vinyl covering? How will that be done?
I haven't gotten up there to look to see what the exact covering is, and I haven't actually spoken with the sign company. I thought Ms. Taylor was going to be on the call. It appears to me from the street level to be metal.
So would this new sign be a metal applied to the existing?
Yes, it'll be the same materials.
Got it.
And we've allowed that before, Rick. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, that would work. Whenever you can show, I mean, this is very specific of what they want to do.
Yeah.
And then what about, is there another, what's going to happen to the sign on the awning?
We plan on the awning has the name White Oak Salon on it. The plan is to cover that up. They're going to either I don't know if it's take the lettering off or paint over it. Can't recall exactly what that company does.
And then the new sign on the storefront, actually on the storefront, a second sign
Yeah, on the window on the door.
on the window on the door.
Yeah, the door.
okay, so that's a much smaller decal than what would have been on the window, right? Okay, got it.
Yes.
So that counts as your two signs. So
Correct.
Can you
considering
guys
the
see
awning,
me? I don't know if you all can see me or not.
Yeah, we can hear you, Jessica.
Oh, okay, sorry. I had to do an update on mine.
okay. So with the awning, if they want to paint over the letters, that is the same color, that's something that you all can just talk to me about. But if they were to change the awning color, that would have to go through the board as well.
Correct. No,
You're
I
not- Go
I
ahead.
believe the plan is, and Jessica, tell me if I'm wrong, the plan is to just paint it black, just like the awning is. We may come back next year to change the awning color.
Yes.
Okay.
My plan right now is to literally keep the exact signage size. We're just putting our logo over top of it. And we're
Okay.
painting over the White Oak Salon. And so there's no changes ultimately being made except for our logo on the sign
And on the front door.
and
Okay.
on the front door.
Got it.
Okay,
Shane, have you been,
and the logo will just be black with white on it.
Yes, it will just be the
Okay.
same color.
Okay, this all seems fairly straightforward. Do we have a motion for COA 20-84.
I'll make the motion to recommend approval of COA 2084. My motion is based on the following findings. The signs are consistent with the sign standards set forth in section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
Second? Rick, that's gotta be you.
Sorry, Rick.
So, as Rashay, does this meet the standards of what we're approving?
Yes, it does.
Okay, then I will second approval of that.
All in favor?
Aye.
I,
All right. Move, and you have to wait for the city council to vote on that, and then you can make those changes. Moving on to COA 20-87, Mr. Samuels.
And Joe Buckman is going to be doing this one. Hey,
Okay,
Joe.
Joe.
Okay, guys, I just need for Rick to probably have a little update on how I was involved in this project. And I helped him design the building and so forth, but I had absolutely nothing to do with his landscaping, wasn't privy to it, but I did tell him that he needed to present his design to the board. And he said he forgot. That's the word I got, okay? So now he's asking, I guess, for forgiveness on his design, and there's some question about a couple of location of a couple of bushes, and I can explain why they're there, and then you all can decide how we need to go forward with that. If you have that design in front of you, the first thing is we're not really understanding. I think maybe our city engineer asked that we look at the two or the plants that were planted next to the guide wires. And if you're looking at the house, it would be on the left-hand side of the property. And those, I don't know why that would be in question, because they are 11 feet off of the curb. We don't understand why he could not have that shrub there. It just helps to hide those wires, and you know how ungodly that looks. That yellow comes down, and it's just to help to make the front of the building look a lot softer and nicer. But I don't think, in my opinion, I don't see how they can be a hazard or a danger to somebody pulling out of that alley out into the street. Because it's like 11 and a half feet back from the street. And then I think the other two questionable ones were the two that are next to the poured concrete area that they put, which when he started that design, I think everybody understood there would never be sidewalks in there, and then that became an issue. They poured that area, and it's more of a courtesy area. Someone pulls up to get out of their car. It's just an area to step off, without stepping in the grass and the mud or so forth. But anyway, they just put a couple of shrubs at the end of that to just soften the job, give it aesthetics, make it look a little bit nicer and more presentable. But the rest of it turned out and looks really nice. And you'll have to decide how you want to handle that, because it's after the fact. And that's really all I have to say about it, all of it.
Yes. And so, Joe, this one came, the three removals, the two bushes, and then the other side area right there. This is an ordinance that came from Jessica Filiatri, the city engineer, who requested that landscaping be removed under, I believe, ordinances that she's updated. And it's about a 20-foot circumference around alleys and things that are being pulled out of. And that's why that other section, even though it's set back, she wants that removed as well. So those are per her guidelines and what she would like to have removed. The two bushes at the end of the sidewalk, she requested that as well, because and she has no plans for this whatsoever. There's no guidelines, there's no money, there's not a project. But if she were to ever extend those sidewalks that are there now, that aren't going straight from the house up, she doesn't want to have to be responsible for the landscaping at the end of those sidewalks, those bushes, and be responsible for replacing that. So she asked that both of those be removed, and the other section of landscaping area that is cited on the application, which is, that's what she has asked for us to do.
You know, I remember that ordinance. I didn't specifically remember the 20-foot area, but you know, it's all there for aesthetics, especially the guide wire things. I mean, I really think we should consider that, looking at that, because it is a softening project toward the building. If you notice, they did finally, the neighbor over there did put a wood fence up to hide the barbed wire fence she put up. So that helped that, but it's just an aesthetics thing. And, you know, for the people that live there, there's nothing uglier than yellow guide wires coming down your front yard.
Well, Rashay, I have a question. In general, the landscaping is all appropriate and within our guidelines. Can we approve the landscaping with the exception that whatever they work out with the city engineer is followed?
Yes, you can do that. And I would say the condition would be what the city engineer recommends be followed. Whatever she says needs to go, I think. Because I don't want to fight her ordinance on that. And I don't want there to be a conflict.
And Joe, you can speak to her about that, and whatever she decides is okay, we can be okay with, if that's appropriate.
If you do that, Beth, I'll probably let the owner do that. He was a little reluctant about being on here as the reason he didn't come in person, but I think that would be more appropriate if you all decide what you want to do, and then if he doesn't like that, he'll have to take it up with her. And
okay, because I mean, we can't say that what is not okay with the city engineer is okay. Sure. That's not in our purview. We can't okay that, but we can okay the rest of it.
Right.
Yes.
And whatever is in contention is to be, you know, gone over with the city engineer and her guidelines. So.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah,
Rick, I'm having a hard time hearing you, Rick.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. So on the sidewalk where it starts to have the return that goes along parallel to the street, that's running along the gutter, it suggests that there will ultimately be a sidewalk there along the street. And my sense is that the historic district has street, curb, gutter, green strip and sidewalk, and wherever the sidewalk that comes to the curb, that is really degrading pretty much the historic higher standard that I see all through that area. So certainly First Street, much of Second Street, but we anticipate that sidewalks at some point will come. So I would support what you guys are suggesting, with the caveat or stipulation that any sidewalk that eventually would be parallel to the street will conform to whatever standard is created in the future. So you're not going to grandfather in and create a condition where that house will in the future have a sidewalk along the street. I think there should be a green strip at some point.
If I may interject here just a second. This did come before City Council a couple of weeks ago, and Jessica presented it and said they approved everything as it's the sidewalks. There would not be sidewalks there, and that what was there would be okay. Wait a minute, excuse me. The owner would not be required to put sidewalks in because the rest of the street doesn't have it, and that the corner house going toward Muir Avenue actually would almost you'd have to remove part of their fence and some of their sidewalk or their stoop, even consider putting a sidewalk in it. That would probably never happen. Just kind of telling you what happened there. And then they approved, because he did get a zoning change. That zoning reg said that he created a neighborhood with that duplex, that he had, and by rights, he was supposed to put in a sidewalk, but they excused him from that because it just wasn't probably going to happen, even on the other two pieces of property that adjoin it. So that's kind of where that is. And I see what you're talking about too. So.
Well, I would just make sure that there's no confusion in the in the future that this isn't or permitting or allowing a sidewalk immediately parallel to the curb and gutter.
Right. So,
Okay, whoever makes the motion, if you could include that the bushes that are in contention with the city engineer will meet whatever requirements the city engineer works out with Joe or the owner, and include that the sidewalk that comes to the street does not set a precedent for the sidewalk to run right at the street on that road. Do we have any other questions? Are we ready for a motion? All right, if we could have a motion for COA, I'm totally out of it, 20-87.
Rick, do you want to give it a try with your motion?
Yeah, and what is it? COA 20- what?
87.
Okay, so I make a motion that we approve of the bushes under the condition that it meets the requirements of the city engineer, and that the sidewalk does not set a precedent for a sidewalk running parallel to the street. So that's for COA 2080. Is that correct?
Yes,
87.
and then you would also state that it meets the landscape standards set forth in section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual. That's the only other part I'm missing right there.
So it meets the conditions of section 4 of the historic code, correct?
That works, yes.
All right.
And I need a second,
Second.
Josh.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great job, guys. Thank you. And Joe, do you want to pull your other one while I've got you here for your
can I
overall?
can I run it by the three that are there? I mean, just the idea. Not, I don't want to present it, but I just want to let them know how I feel about it. As far as
Yeah, you absolutely can. Are you going to come back with another conceptual review next month, because we've missing 2 of the overall 5?
That's what I was going to say. I really want more than 3 people to see this and to buy into what we're doing, because we're going to be back several times trying to get this project going. And I really would like to have everybody on board with us. It's a big project. It's something a little unique for Bardstown, and I'd like for the other 2 board members to be part of this. So as bad as I hate to table it, because it's going to back us up, going on with our, going further with our, because we're not going any further until our concept has been approved. But it's just crazy for us to go and do that and then it not work.
Which one is it?
That is 20-103. This is a conceptual review, so no action would be taken, only comments and suggestions tonight. But he wanted all board members to weigh in on this, so he would like to come back next month.
No, he
because we're
doesn't
missing
want
that.
he will come back.
Okay, do we need to move to table it, or since it's a conceptual review, we don't have to do that?
We don't have to do anything to it. There'll be no motion taken on that, Joe.
Okay.
And
All righty.
If I can make a comment though, I mean, if some more of these things happen tonight or whatever, and we have to have a special meeting, I hate to wait another 30 days, but to go forward. So I would like to maybe that be considered. Awesome.
I'll talk to Audrey about that. I'll see what she would like to do regarding that. And we'll go from there. Does that sound good, Joe?
That's going to be the best we can do, I think.
Yes, sir.
Riche?
Yeah.
I think this is a critical property. I think it's going to backstop deterioration in that area. It's very exciting. It's something that's moving forward.
Get a little closer, Rick. Get a little closer, Rick.
All right, we obviously want to get it correct. I would suggest perhaps a workshop where we walk the property and talk about it here on the property with Joe and landowner. It's too important to look at a simple plan here. Joe is open for that.
I think you said maybe do a walking workshop
Yes,
to discuss it. I'm very much in favor of that. I think that we could see that property a lot better doing that, for sure. Absolutely.
Okay.
Um,
And I can reach out to the rest of the board members and set up a time to see if that would be something that they would be interested in and get the clearance from Audrey as well for that. You know what I'm saying?
I have to agree with Rick on it's very difficult to look at this project on an iPad screen and take it all in. Just can't. I'm not saying we don't have the ability to do that, but it's very difficult to look at because you don't see those elevations, you don't see those clip roofs, and you don't see that stuff. So I really like that idea myself, and I do believe it's a very important piece of property. Extremely important.
Okay, so what I can do for that, you guys, let me reach out to Audrey, make sure that there isn't an issue because of if we meet and discuss anything, there's a, violation of meetings. We have to make sure we are not on the protocol. So this may be something that has to be set up individually. It may have to be something where board members are scheduled a time to come look at the property and walk around and ask questions about what you're potentially wanting to do, Joe. I'll just have to make sure it meets the requirements for not being an HRB meeting, because if we're, you know what I'm saying? So, or if it has to be a special meeting into that district. So I'll talk to Audrey about that and see what we can do. And then I'll get back with you guys on that. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
COA 20-98, are we, that summer, are we tabling that? What's the
We
deal?
need to table that. Yeah.
All right, do we have a motion to table COA 20-98?
I'll make the motion to table COA 2098.
Second?
It's all falling back on me. So I make a second the motion.
Yes,
All
sorry, Rick. You guys are gonna have to do the motion or second and all of that tonight. I apologize. Way to join. Apologize about that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All right, moving on to COA 20-99.
Is Andy here?
Yes, I'm here.
Yay, Andy. Hi.
How you doing?
He's got two guys, but yeah, so let's talk about what you want to do with Mr. Jason Floyd, please.
Jason, he's wanting to do some vinyl lettering on the exterior of the window, similar to Michael Cohen's down the street on the other side of Flagey. Same materials, gold vinyl, nothing crazy. And then he's wanting to do just a little arm above the doorway that if you're looking down Flagey, you'd be able to kind of see, Jason Floyd, PLLC.
Okay, I'm looking.
See in the drawing there.
Got it. It's not on the awning. It's a separate, really tiny sign, right? Okay, so
Yeah.
he's wanting the
Yeah.
window vinyl. Okay. Now, the window
Is that
vinyl,
sign metal or plastic? What's it made of? The sign that Judge.
That'd be like it's a steel frame and then an aluminum like panel.
Okay.
With the black with the same gold vinyl as it's going to go on windows.
now the window sign, it does not exceed 25% of the square footage of the window, correct? It's less than 25% of the overall window space.
Yeah, I think it's 20. I think it was 20%.
It says 20
20%.
on the 20% on the thing.
Thank you. Okay, I just wanted clarification on that because that's a specific guideline. Yeah.
So I have a question. Is this a transparent vinyl with only the gold letters, or is this a solid colored surface that follows these dimensions?
No, it's an individual die cut vinyl. So each letter is individual, similar to the vinyl you'd see on other windows downtown. And then just gold, metallic gold in color. Not a shiny, it's like a matte. It's not glossy or anything like that.
So those letters are applied to the glass window?
Yes.
So Rashay, the question is are you, as I mentioned earlier, I would typically always want to see a sign on an elevation. To me, to see it separate, not on the elevation, is difficult to see how it works. So what's your recommendation?
Got it. So he hasn't done it on the elevation, but he's made a kind of 2-scale drawing where he shows the window, he shows the front of the building, and then he shows the window a little bit there. I completely see what you're saying. Yeah, Rick. I would think it meets the parameters, especially with it being individual letters and not one giant sticker. That's very much more traditional and way signs would have been done anyways, besides hand painted. So I think it would meet the requirements that we're looking for.
So I would make a motion for COA 20-99 to be approved.
Okay.
Rick, if you look at, hold on, I can't see. If you look at page, help me out here. Page 3, it gives you all the words that you have to say to make the motion.
So I'm looking for page 3.
You got it. So it says options, motion to approve. And if you don't have any conditions, which I don't feel we do with this application, you just skip that part. And then you just say, you read the top sentence and then no conditions, you just skip that and then say my motion is based on the following findings. And then that's the other part of that.
Because that way it gets all the right information into the notes.
So I'm looking for, so the options, so I make the motion to recommend approval of COA 20-99 with no conditions. As well, the conditions is that it's as per the sign that's submitted.
Got it. And then I just need to read where it says my motion is based on the following findings. Read that following section as well for me.
So my motion is based on the following findings. The signs are consistent with the sign standards set forth Section 4 of the Bardstown Historic District Design Review Manual.
Thank you. Perfect.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Hey, and Rick, normally we would try to provide that rendering for you in the future. The only reason I didn't with that property is because there's a giant tree in front of it and it actually blocks about his location. So it just kind of, I didn't see the need to take the time to draw the building out, you know, in my programs. So
Well,
next time I'll try to make sure you got that.
if you would just maybe in the future photograph it, and then if you can Photoshop the sign directly on it so we could see it, and then if you could add some dimensions, that would really help make it move a lot quicker.
Yeah. Like I said, that's normally what we do, but there's a big tree blocking the building, so there's no good, I guess, angle to get a picture of the building is what I'm trying to get at. What I'm saying.
All right. Did we have ayes for this? Do we have?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Great.
All right. Moving on to COA 20-100. Carry signs, 227 North 3rd.
That is going to be Shirley Shakes. Christy, she's opening up. I believe they've already opened, but they're going in the white building beside Jonesy's. Used to be Cedar Creek Realty. So they're going to put a shake shop in there. So she's wanting to put a sign on the existing. There's a small pole there out in the front that Jim used to have a sign on. She's wanting to just come back. Same thing, you know, a circular sign in the shape of her logo. And then one on the building as well.
So is the sign applied to the building or is it hanging?
It would be attached to the building.
Okay.
But it would be able to be removed, right? If it was to change owners again. Okay. I don't want anything permanently affixed. That's why I'm asking with that brick.
It's brick, right? So it has to be into the mortar.
Yep.
That's
in the mortar joint. Yeah.
And
Thank you.
4x4, that's 16 square feet. That's not an atypical size, Rashay.
No, especially for the size of the house, because, you know, most storefronts are much smaller with that. We have said from 10 to 12 square feet, but this is a really large building. So I think that's going to be okay.
And it's also much further back from the road.
Yes, absolutely. It's set much further back.
What is the material?
It all meets this.
material of the sign?
It's an aluminum panel with a digital print.
How is the sign illuminated?
No, it's aluminum. It's not illuminated.
Right.
So you're not gonna have any lights on?
Not that I know of. No, we're not putting any lights on it. So
Okay.
I don't know if they have maybe a spotlight in that front yard or not. But as far as I know, she doesn't plan on adding anything like that.
Okay.
All right. Do we have any other questions, gentlemen? All right. Do we have a motion for COA 20-100?
I'll make the motion to recommend approval of COA 20-100. My motion is based on the following findings. The sign installation is consistent with the sign standards set forth in Section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
A second?
So I second approval of COA 20-100.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thanks, Andy.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good evening.
I'm gonna wait
Thank
for city council approval next week, okay?
Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
All right. Moving on to COA 20-101. Request to replace windows at 107 East John Fitch.
Okay, do we have Susan on here? We've got, yeah. Okay, so Lynn, can you come on for us in video and unmute your mic for us, pretty please? She's on here. I just can't contact her. Lynn, can you hear us? Oh, wait, I think we're getting through.
There you go. Okay.
Hello.
Thank you. Okay.
Hello. So I would like to replace 2 windows at this point, and they are on the east side of the house. They're facing the alley. And I sent in the specifications for the windows that Loeb sent me.
Yes. And so, unfortunately, my issue, of course, and this is in the application, is that these windows are historic. So usually we repair versus replace with anything like that. So I need my board to weigh in on that and to determine how they feel about this.
But you do realize that some of these windows, like the storm windows that are on there, I've repaired them for years, but I cannot even get the fasteners to repair them anymore.
Oh, yeah, no, new storm windows, something we do all the time, Lynn. We replace storm windows, the coverings, and usually they're much more energy efficient than anything that, but the actual windows behind that, yours are historic. And so we require that those be repaired because federal standards mandate that 1, you retain historic windows, and number 2, that you repair those, right? And so that's the issue. The storm windows there's something we can absolutely work with, but replacing those windows and getting all new windows, even though it's at the back, is something that we really don't usually do ever.
Okay, so what about the windows where the wood is rotten out of it? Can you actually get that repaired too? And what's the cost? Is that going to cost me a whole lot more? I can't afford a whole lot more.
I understand. Unfortunately, part of what we have to do, and this is mandated because we're a certified local government, we are not allowed to take cost into consideration. What we have to do is look at each property, the time period it was built, architectural style, features, if the aspects are 50 years or older, and determine what's most appropriate for that home. And I know it's not what people like to hear, but unfortunately, that's what we're tasked to do, and that's what we're told to do. So I don't know about cost. You can get those repaired. I've restored many historic windows and ones that have been in worse shape than yours. So I know it can absolutely be done. Frank Welsh in town, I know he does stuff like that. There's other contractors I can send you some information for if you need that, but there are people that can do it. And yes, where it's rotted, you can get replacements on part of those parts. We just don't want to replace that entire window. That's something that we never really allow.
So I would have to come back with another application if I want my storm windows replaced?
Beth, go right ahead.
I think that's something that we can let you approve, and that way she doesn't have to come back, because storm windows are not that big of a deal.
Absolutely. And Lynn, that I promise, a good storm window, a good new storm window, what we usually require is it's full glass, and the trim around that storm, the new storm window, be kind of small and painted the same color as the trim of the window. In your case, that would be white. And we've had a lot of success.
Okay.
If you all would grant me that, we can have approval for storm windows to be replaced only, and let that come back to me for staff approval. And Lynn, you won't have to come back to HRB. You would just work directly with me.
Okay,
Wait.
then I would want to do that. Mhm.
Okay,
Something
great.
needs to be done because they're leaking. Mhm.
I understand your storm windows are in bad shape, and there's a lot better things out there for you that will, even if your historic windows behind that aren't in the greatest shape and you can't afford to have those repaired right now, a good storm window is going to really help you. And I know I can help you get a good design for that.
Okay,
Rashay,
well, I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
my question, Rashay, is do we need to, I mean, are we kind of changing this because we're not approving new windows, but we are approving storm?
I would say we're approving 101 with the condition that the storm windows would be replaced only, and that would be done with staff approval.
Okay. Okay, do we have a motion?
Lynn, is that okay? Are we kind of in agreement with that?
That works for me right now, yes. And then I need to find out who else could do that other than Frank Welch, if you had some more contractors that can do that kind of thing.
Absolutely, and I can get you some more people. Absolutely.
All right. That works for me.
All right, gentlemen, do we have a motion for COA 20-101?
I'll make the motion to recommend approval of COA 20-101 with the following conditions: that there is staff approval for the storm window portion only. My motion is based on the following findings: the windows are consistent with the window standards set forth in Section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
Can you include staff approval for those storms, please?
I thought I did.
He did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
All right, second.
Yeah, I will second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, Lynn.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, moving on to COA 20-102.
Okay, 102. Frank, it's you.
How's it going, everybody?
Hello. A request to install a covered patio at 216 North 4th.
The foundation, Frank, I'm going to jump in real quick just to give a real quick review. The concrete of the patio is already existing. He's just wanting to put a little cover over it. Jan has approved this through planning and zoning. Is that correct, Frank?
We went to planning and zoning on a different issue with Jan. I haven't talked to her about this one. I did talk with Eric Richter about the electrical panel that's in the back, and he said there was no problem on covering that up. We basically just wanted to put just a wood structure over top with tin or shingle, whichever one that we could, I guess, matches HRB recommendation the closest. And then basically just cover. We have a lot of sun that comes in there at nighttime, and we like to sit out there more than we do now.
Rashay, what's your recommendation on the roof? I prefer the tin, but I don't know that it actually matters.
So it gets real fuzzy. We want standing seam for all 10, but you have a shingle roof, don't you, Frank?
We actually got a rubber membrane on the house.
Gonna
We're going to go right underneath the soffit. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is at the back. It's not, a standing seam is the ideal choice, but he was asking for a standing seam, not a standing seam, but a ridged metal roof that isn't flat in between the seams. That was his choice. That was his first choice. And then the second choice was going to be the shingles.
Yes, ma'am.
So can we approve this ribbed steel roof? I mean, it doesn't seem like Because it's not,
it's not the main structure of the house, and it's not going to be visible. So that's up to you guys. But that's where I said it kind of gets the, interesting.
well, is there another, I can't think of the word, a different steel roof profile that's similar to this, that better meets our standards? I mean, it seems like it's going to be almost flat. It's going to be almost invisible.
Yeah, and because it's a porch roof and not the main structure, that makes it completely different. Do you know what I mean on that point?
It's hardly a porch. It's almost like a gazebo, and
yeah, and so that's kind of completely different, especially since they have a flat membrane roof. But there's nothing to necessarily connect that with aesthetics. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it was a commercial property that's been turned into a historic. It's historic. Yeah, it's historic no matter what, but turned into a home. So I'm looking. Let's see. For a new, it says for the deck standards to be compatible with new construction, I'm citing DE5. We would, on a main structure, we have always required the standing seam, but this is not the main structure. So that's why it's something that is, I think it is allowable.
Here's what I would like. I would like to approve this if everyone else feels the same way. But I would also like if we could find a profile of a tin roof that fits the bill just a hair better. Because there have to be more. There have to be other things that exist. But I mean, I like the idea of a porch with a tin roof. That sounds nice. It's fun. But just to cover our butts, if it could fit the profile just a little better, look a little bit more like standing seam. I don't know if that exists.
Okay.
I don't know if that exists. I'm gonna kind of, if that's okay with everybody, leave that up to Rashay.
We can do staff approval on that, Frank, and you and I can talk about those parameters. If we meet 16 inches and the rise being about an inch, we can work, and make sure that we meet those qualifications. I think we've got something pretty close to, historic standing seam material.
Sure, I can get with you on that. We can talk with Busick and get some options there, and you can tell me which one you think fits everything the closest.
Okay, and if he can't find something that would work within that secondary recommendation, it'll be staff approved, so he can do the shingles. No one has opposition to shingles, correct? We do that.
No, I mean, I would prefer the ribbed metal to shingle. Honestly, I think it's more appropriate, and it's more.
You'd make my wife really happy.
Huh?
Said you'd make my wife really happy if we can get 10.
Yeah,
I think 10 for that porch, that structure is more appropriate than shingle, no matter what the profile is. Does any?
Okay.
How do Josh and Rick? How do you all feel about that?
I agree with you.
I'm good with it.
Okay. Yeah, I think metal is the appropriate material. We need to do the very best we can to find the right profile, and if we can't, we roll with what we have.
Okay.
Well, awesome. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it.
All right. Well, do we have a motion for COA 20-102?
Yeah,
With the condition
that. I make the motion to recommend approval of COA 20-12 with the condition that it's approved at staff, the material for the roof, because it meets section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Review Manual.
Second?
All right.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Frank,
Take care.
Don't get Frank to wait for city council approval on that. It's very important.
I will make sure to recuse myself as well.
Good job.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
You too.
All right. Moving on to COA 20-104.
Hello, Miss Mauser. I know you've been here. Hi.
Hi, thank you.
Okay.
All right. The first application for 104 is to widen the driveway.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Mouse, you want to talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure. So my drive enters the property off of Raspberry Alley, and that alley is very narrow, as well as the drive being narrow. So you can see from the pictures that I submitted, when people pull into the drive, they go off of the drive, and it's killing the grass and rutting out and causing mud down the drive. So all I'm requesting is to just extend the drive on each side with the same concrete material.
Are you just going to extend, or are you going to kind of curve out the flare out at the edge?
So flare some and extend up.
Okay.
And I did talk to planning and zoning as well as city engineer, and both of them said they were fine with that.
Okay, so it meets the green space. How does that?
City's waiting for them.
Yeah, that does. And then, Daryl, I can hear you, Daryl. Yeah, again. So it does meet that requirement. And Miss Mauser, can you clarify too, how far are you extending it on each side that you're wishing to extend it?
20 inches.
Okay, total, right?
No, 20 on each side.
You are wanting 20 on each side. Okay, got it. So what would that make the total length of the width of the driveway from what it is currently to what it will be?
It's 10 feet now. So,
okay. It'd be about 12. Yeah.
What is that? 13
12 feet.
Wait, no, wrong.
4 inches.
Yeah.
Okay.
None of this seems inappropriate. Roche, are there any?
No, as long as it's okay with that size. So it's not extremely huge. So that is, it's perfectly, it met all the requirements from planning and zoning and from Jessica, the city engineer as well.
Yeah, and it's also at the rear of the property. It's only visible from the alley.
Yes.
Are there any other questions, gentlemen?
Nope.
Do we have a motion for COA?
20-104.
Thank you. My thing shut
I'll
down.
make the motion to recommend approval of COA 20-104. The motion is based on the following findings: that the driveway expansion is consistent with the site standards set forth in Section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
I second that.
All in favor? Aye. All right, and moving on to COA 20-105. Is this one different, Roche?
Yeah, so she's wanting to remove a tree.
It just doesn't say that in the summary, so you might want to amend.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I will fix that. So she's wanting to remove a tree at 208 Stephen Foster Avenue. I hope everything else is accurate with that one. So let me pull that. Let's see. Yeah, so, and then, yeah, so everything else is accurate on that one. So we do have information from Jay's Do It All Tree Service LLC, where he's written information on that. And Miss Mauser, do you want to talk about the tree and why you want to remove it? And what do you want to plan back?
Sure. So the trees at the edge of the property on the east side, and it stands over the garage as well as the drive area. And regularly there are 3, 4, 5 inch diameter limbs falling out of that tree. So I talked with Jay's and, talked about topping the tree or what is the best way to manage it, because not only is it can cause damage to the property, but anybody that's back there as well, pets or children or whatever, because the leaves are the limbs are regularly falling out even when there's not a storm. So the recommendation is, because it's splitting and the limbs are dying, is to remove the tree from that area. And then I propose replacing the tree with another tree that would grow into a large shade tree, but I want to move it further back on the property so that when it grows, the limbs aren't hanging over the garage structure as well.
And what kind of tree would you like to plant back?
So when talking to landscaping, I had a proposal of either a oak, maple, what did I put on there? A oak, maple.
That's right.
Or,
Yeah, those.
Yep.
Let me see.
There was one
Let
more.
me see.
Elm.
Or elm.
Yeah, I'm reading it. Yeah. Those
Yeah,
are all, those are
appropriate.
all appropriate. Yeah.
So I guess we would just request that whatever you do choose to put in of those three, that you just let Rashay know so that it can go into the notes
Absolutely.
in the history of the home.
Okay.
Do we have a motion for COA 20-105?
I'll make the motion to recommend approval of COA 2105 with the following conditions: that the final new tree selection be cleared with Rashay.
Got it.
My motion is based on the following findings. The tree removal is consistent with the landscape standards set forth in section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
I second that.
All in favor? Aye. All right.
Okay, and
Thank
Ms.
you.
Mauser, just don't forget to wait for city council because they have to give this final approval next Tuesday. As soon as I send out the approval letter, that'll be probably about right next Wednesday or Thursday after that meeting, with a copy of your signed certificate saying you can remove the tree. And the only condition is just let me know what you're going to put back before you do, so I have it in the file. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, moving on to COA 20-106.
Linda, it's you.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
You want me to explain this?
Please.
We are needing new doors downstairs at Spalding Hall for the Rick House. I have submitted pictures. You all should have those. The doors are rotten and they are just allowing water to flood in. And that's part of the reason that the Rick House is getting flooded. So I would, if you've got pictures, they're exactly the same as the doors are there now. It is just, they're just going to be new doors.
And I have already staff approved this, guys. She's not under provisional approval because, you know, she's doing the other application about the drainage, but I already have checked the specs and basically given staff approval for this.
Okay, I just have one request. It looks like these doors that were on there were bought and then cut down at the bottom.
Yes, they were. That's exactly what
Can we get doors that fit the space?
Yes, I've ordered, yes, new doors have been ordered. Rashay, staff approved them, and I've ordered new doors that will fit and that will be properly there. But yes, that's exactly what happened. They just cut some doors down. And that may be part of the problem why I'm having so much flooding. It's well, they're rotten, if you can see, and it's just water just flows in.
So they are not historic doors.
No.
Those are other Spalding Hall doors.
Yeah,
are
no,
very
it was apparent that they're
no.
not.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have any other questions? All right. Do we have a motion for COA 20-106?
I'll make the motion to recommend approval of 20-106. My motion is based on the following findings. The door replacement is consistent with the door standards set forth in section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
Second.
The second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. And then moving on to COA 20-107. This is to install drains. Now, is this in the drains in the main walk on top or drains down below, kind of in those lower portions where the water flows down?
It's in the main walkway. I have already talked to you all. I've been to HRB board meetings before with the flooding that the Rick House has. And these are going to be just some flat drains in the middle. I've submitted a video to Rashay and to the Jennifer, the city engineer, and I've talked to her about it. She approved everything that we are having done. But the only way that we can keep that massive amount of water from flowing down is to have some drainage and some drain pipes installed to where it will be able to direct the drainage away from the building. It's ruining the foundation of Spalding Hall. That's what the water is doing. It is just going right down into our foundation.
And there is a pretty telling picture there, you guys, with what she's experiencing of the steps and it kind of looking like a waterfall.
Yes.
And the Rick House restaurant is flooded multiple times and twice this year. Yeah. And so what we're trying to do is, unfortunately, I know we don't want grates there, but there's not much else that we could find between city engineer and between the person that Linda spoke to and many other plumbing specialists and landscaping specialists that is going to be able to hold that much water when we get a downpour like that to stop the restaurant and further erosion of that foundation. So basically what it is that some of the historic brick will be removed and large grates will be placed back to absorb that with drainage underneath. Is that correct, Linda?
Yes.
Now, like, will they span fully in front of the steps, or what would the locations be? Or do we know that yet?
Yeah, she does explain. They didn't get the video, Linda, but you can explain this. Go right ahead.
Yes, they are, I don't know if you all are familiar with, the steps come down and then we have a lot of different memorable bricks from St. Joe Prep School. And so it's out from that. It is out sort of where the sidewalk comes down from the church, from St. Joe Church. And that's where the grates will go in. We'll remove some of the bricks because they have to be larger grates because it's just not going to accommodate the large amount of water that we have whenever we have huge rains. And so then the grates are going to be put in and they should be flat. And then the bricks that they do take up are going to be replaced back at a different location, but we will have to remove some of the bricks in order to accommodate the size of the grates. And there was a video that I sent into Richey and that also that Jennifer Filiat-True also viewed, and she approved, it.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said Jennifer.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, obviously something has to be done. And if the research has been done to figure out what the best thing is, my only question was, would it not be appropriate to have some down below as well?
Well,
they would have to remove that historic brick, that foundation right there. And to be honest, if we can stop it up at the top, that's what we need to do because it will shift that entire patio foundation, which is also super historic. I would rather have some of the bricks that aren't as old removed, is that historic bottom, which has been there for how long, Linda? I don't know, a long time.
Okay. No,
and the only thing, Linda, I would like to talk to you about the look of those grates. I understand we're going to have grates. I get that. I would like for them to look historic. I don't think it would be that much more, but if we could get some sort of pattern that looks a little bit, not just straight lines or, checkers or something like that. If we could get something maybe like ironwork that looks a little bit more unique, I think he can order something maybe that will fit, that will be historic looking. So I would like to have a look at those grates before you order them and see what choices we have.
Okay.
If this were to be approved.
Okay. I don't think that's a problem. Hopefully he has not already ordered any grates, but hopefully we can get some that look historic. I'm not familiar with the different types of grates, but we'll try.
Okay.
To get some.
Okay. Do we have any other questions?
Rick, how do you feel about this one, Josh? I've talked a lot. I'm sorry.
Well, if I second this, it's certainly going to be with the condition that you work with the applicant on the details. The one thing that I would say is maybe you should not make an event out of the grate. You should try to find something that makes it go away as simple as possible. I think sometimes when you try to add too much design pattern, it becomes a fake addition.
Got it.
So I trust your judgment, but I would say don't get busy with it. Just something that fades away.
You want clean cut, simple. Okay.
Well, I'm going to leave it up to you. I just think that you should look at it carefully, and I would recommend to you, I say we defer to staff approval, but I would recommend, not to get too fussy with it, not to try to create some pattern that's fabricated, that's faux. If we can't have the real thing, then let's don't create an event out of it.
Got it. Okay, I can absolutely, I think we can come to a really happy medium, and I think that's a good point, Rick. Thank you.
All right, do we have a motion for COA 20-107?
So I make the motion to recommend approval of COA 20-107 with the following condition, that the applicant work with staff on the actual technical aspects of the installation of the grate. My motion is based on the following findings. The drain installation is consistent with the streetscape standard set forth in section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Linda. Just wait for city council next Tuesday. I'll get that paperwork to you, and then we'll take a look at those grates, okay?
All right, thank you all. Everybody have a good evening. Bye.
Thank you, you too.
Bye.
And then moving forward to COA 20-115.
Oh, Daryl, it's your turn.
Thank you. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I can hear you now. Excellent.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so let's see. 115. I'm pulling it up too, guys. Okay, so this one is to replace the historic aluminum siding at the rear of the property with either poplar, pine, or hardy plank. Okay, so that's the first one we've got, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Daryl, you want to talk about it a little bit?
Well, we originally had 7-inch tin on the addition part of the house, and it wasn't savable. We had a lot of dents and nail holes, so we wanted to take that off and put the hardy board in place of it.
Now that also sustained hail damage as well, correct, Daryl? The tin
correct.
side. Yeah, from the storm last.
The addition was finally put on in 49.
Got it. So historic addition. Okay, good.
Okay. We can't really approve hardy plank for an existing building, but we can approve, approve wood.
Right, what we've taken off is the original part of the house had asbestos siding on it.
Oh,
that was taken off, I assume, somewhere in 48. It was finished in 49 with the tin siding. The only problem that I have with original wood is I'm trying to match it with the same size, which is 7 to 8 inches. And I wouldn't be able to do that with real wood.
You're trying to match the tin, or you're trying to match what was underneath?
I'm trying to match the side of the tin that we took off.
Rashay, can you address this? Because I know we prefer.
Yeah, because the addition is historic, the guidelines are pretty, they're kind of strict about that. We all know that. So going back to wood is something that is approvable. And if you can't get that size, something as close to that or similar to that, I think would be very appropriate. Even if you can't get that exact size, if the board feels that it should be wood, then we can make it smaller, but as close as we can, right? So it would have been historically smaller before the tin anyways.
Yeah, I imagine what was underneath was probably, if it was ever wood, it was probably four or 6 tops.
Exactly, yeah.
It was asbestos shingles is what was on it prior to the aluminum siding.
So that may have been original in the 40s, 49. I'm not sure. I'd have to.
Yeah, it was original to the original house, which is in the 30s. The addition was, I think it was in the 49, somewhere in that area that it was completed. Yeah.
Okay. So in other words,
we go with wood, we go with wood. Now, I don't have a problem with it. I just think the hardy board would have probably matched the original look of it closer than what we're going to be able to do with the wood.
I understand that, but it's just within the guidelines, we can't approve hardy plank.
Okay.
Unless it's a new construction.
I understand.
Gentlemen, did you have anything you'd like to add?
Well, my only question is, Daryl, can you get the wood 7 to 8 inches instead of something more narrow? The 7, 8 inches feel like a better scale, better fit. What's your thoughts? And I'd like to hear.
Well, my thoughts is I really haven't thought about it. My intention was a hardy board because I knew I could get that in the 7 or the 8 inch. What I'm used to prior to that is cedar or poplar siding, which is normally a 3.5 or 4 inch. I personally don't think that size would go with a house. I think to answer your question, Rick, is I'm gonna have to check into finding some kind of wood siding in that size, and I really can't answer that. If I come up with it, can Rashay give me staff approval to go with that particular?
Absolutely.
Board? Okay,
We can
that's
work
fine.
on
I don't
that, and
have
then,
a problem with that.
and let's be honest, folks, we all know there's a shortage on lumber. So Daryl, we'll work together to find the best fit that we can for that. I can help you with that one.
Okay,
And,
great.
yeah, and knowing that too, that we may have to, go smaller because of the shortage of what's available, right? So there's definitely some issues with getting lumber all around and not just here in Kentucky. So
That's fine.
okay, is everyone okay with?
Yeah. Do we have a motion for COA 20-115?
I'll make the motion to recommend approval of COA 20-115 with the condition that wood and that Rashay has the authority for the dimension of the wood siding. My motion is based on the following. The siding replacement is the siding standards set forth in Section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review.
Okay, thank you, Rick.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Okay,
All right. 116.
this one's the roof. Daryl, do you want to talk to us about that? The porch roof and then the addition roof, right? That's what we're doing. Yes.
Well, I submitted some pictures of what used to be on the back porch was a pergola, and it was rotten, and we tore that down. So what we're proposing to do is to put a roof over top of the existing porch. And to do that, I need to change the roof line. It will not exceed the height of the windows on the rear of the house, but it will raise it probably about 6 to 8 inches on the back end of it. And from
So
there,
it looks like there was a rubber membrane flat roof. Is that what?
that's correct. With the pitch that we're going to have to do to try to fit it underneath those existing windows, it's going to have to be a rubber membrane.
And I don't want those windows covered, so that we have, we have to.
They basically the same thing. It's just at the far end, it is going to come out. We have to change the rafters and the pitch of that probably about a foot on the back end, but it's not going to exceed the height of the windows.
And
So
sorry.
But we're turning this pergola into an actual porch. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, and there was a porch there previously, but it was turned into a pergola and then not done very well. Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't.
Also, the issue with there's part of why he's raising that roof is when the roof attaches with the addition as well. There's actually a dip back there. Don't ask me how. I don't know why. But there literally is a dip. So he's going to have to raise all of that to keep, because we already know he has extensive leak problems, and that was just done wrong. That's just wrong. So that's why he's having to raise that to that extent. The rubber roof membrane, we try to avoid that at all costs. We know that. We've had to approve it in circumstances. And with the pitch being as narrow as it is, he is bringing it up a little bit, but that's not nearly enough to do watershed to make it work appropriately. We know that. And so it's one of those things. I don't want to cover historic windows. So it's the lesser of evil for me.
Is any of this going to be visible from the street?
That rubber membrane.
The mirrors, the rubber membrane will not be, but the mirror side, you will see where I've raised it about a foot.
That's fine with me.
Yeah.
To get rid of the dip and the leaks. I mean, he's saving
but
structure.
It's not on the street side. You'll see just yeah. So
We're talking about rubber membrane?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you will not see that at all.
Okay. As long as it's not visible, that's
Yeah.
I mean, I understand sometimes you have to use this for the pitch of the roof. So I mean, we don't want to, but we also have to have a functioning building.
We're going back with the gray shingles that we've already had staff approval for on the original part of the house on the rest of the roof.
Okay.
We approved that last month.
Yeah. Okay. Are there any questions, gentlemen? I think all of this fits the bill of our regulations. I mean, we don't like rubber membrane roof, but sometimes it's what has to be. Do you all have any questions?
Nope.
Do we have a motion for COA 20-116?
I'll make the motion to recommend approval of COA 2116. My motion is based on the following findings. The roofing is consistent with the roofing standards set forth in Section 4 of the Bardstown Historic District Design Review Manual.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, moving on to COA 20-117, proposal to replace the porch. And this is what we just talked about, right? In the back, what was the pergola?
Right.
Yeah, this is the detail of the porch. So we're going to talk about that, including the railings. You want to go ahead and address all that, Daryl? Let me pull that up as well.
The railings are going to be iron railings. The posts on it are square posts. They're going to be finished out in boral. The patio itself is going to have a new membrane, which is going to be a stamped concrete over top of it. And it's basically just putting a porch over top, or a roof over top of the existing porch.
Yeah, so the concrete and all that other stuff is already existing, guys. The thing is, and he found metal railings that were already existing on the property, but we are mixing the wood post with the metal. But we have allowed that before, depending on visibility.
Well, I may add that I may not put the iron railing on in case somebody wanted to screen in the porch. I've left it that way, but if I haven't sold the house, then before we do that, we will put the iron railing on, if that's approved.
Okay.
Well, Rashay, do we want to? So the metal railings are existing.
They are. Yeah,
I'm
go ahead,
sorry.
Daryl.
Yeah, we found existing railings there at the house that came from the existing porch on the rear side. And to match that, we were going to go back with the iron railings on the back porch.
And it's iron railings that would have a wood top rail and bottom rail.
No, there's no wood involved. It's strictly an iron railing that I'm going to have.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, you were talking about boral, and I was just trying to figure out where that was.
Well, the column posts on the porch in the back are going to be boral. We're going to put a 6x6 post to hold the roof. And then we're going to trim it out in boral. And in between the columns, then we were talking about putting a metal iron railing, because we have like a 4-foot drop from the porch to the ground.
Okay. Rashay, are those posts going to be square or round? And Rashay, is that something we need to discuss?
Yes. So we do. They've got a small pediment in the design. You can kind of see that at the top, a very simple design, and then it's a square post coming down. There are no columns or anything else with this house. Yeah, and it's an existing porch, but had no detail for us to go from, other than square posts that were already there, but those weren't historic. And on page 9, if you see there is a piece of that metal railing at the back door coming off of that. That's where I was trying to show. And that's correct, Daryl, right? There's that little piece of metal railing like the one you showed me, you found in other areas. Yeah. It's just a square railing and then metal top.
Yeah.
You see that? Yeah, that's the railing.
Rashay, are square columns okay? I mean, this house seems like that would be okay on this style of house, but I don't know that.
So she's circa 1900. She's federal, and so if it was Georgian or anything else, and see, she does have the square pillars at the front that are on the beginning of the door. And I've seen that in other houses that were older than that had square post versus circular, but it had the little decorative pediment that matches the front door surround that's on the front. So I would say, based on the door surround and what I've seen in some other historic properties, if they made the door surround and did that to be the little columns that project out that are attached, but made those square, I would have said probably inside on your mantles probably matches, and probably other posts that would have been anywhere on that back porch at one point probably would have been square as well, with the little pediment design that matches the front.
Yeah. Can we ask that the columns on the back match the style of the front?
Yeah, no, that's not a problem. In fact, that's what we intended to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've definitely seen that on older houses and houses on that time period. If they have that surround and they have those square pillars, I saw you wink. Totally, totally sorry. But I honestly have seen it on other structures. And most recently, the Dant property that's being redone, the beautiful 2-story federal style house there has the square pediment surround on the front, just like this one. And then the columns on the back porch were square with the same pediment design. The mantles were the same square pediment design. On the inside, the door surrounds were the square pediment design. So that was in a house that's even older than this that matched architecturally. So I feel comfortable stating that. Yeah.
Okay, so we're okay with square columns. The other question we need to address is, are we okay with metal railings and wood columns? It seems okay to me, but we need to discuss it.
Rick, Josh, how do you feel about that?
I'm okay with it.
Okay. Okay. And I would say also, because the metal railings have been existing on the property as well, he's finding it, that's already there,
Yeah.
and he's on part of the other porches. So I
Yeah,
think
it matches the other portions of the house. Yeah. All right. Do we have a motion for COA 20-117?
I'll make the motion to recommend approval of COA 20-117 with the conditions that we use square columns in the existing metal railings. My motion is based on the following findings. The porch alterations are consistent with the porches, steps, stairs, standards set forth in Section 4 of the Bardstown Historic District Design Review Manual.
And do we have a second?
I second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Moving on to 118, lighting. So do you want to tell us where this lighting is going to go and what?
Well, I'm really not sure what picture you're looking at. We're changing the lights on the front of the house, the side door of the house, the garage, and the back side garage door.
you got it. So on page 9, we've got the back porch light. That's the one I've got the arrow to that one. On page 10, we've got the front door lantern style. That's blue arrows drawn to that one. And then on page 11, we have the side door over the garage one. And those are the 3 I've got.
That's correct.
Yeah.
You're doing good, Rashay. Thank you.
I'm trying to work really hard at this. Yeah. I work really hard at it, I promise.
And what is coming, I mean, in the back, I see it's not a big deal, but on the front, I'm curious about what's coming out. I mean, they're not historic, are they? No.
No, it's I'm trying to zoom that.
Hideous gold, a hideous gold thing. I've got those too. Ooh.
That's one thing about replacing yours too.
Oh, I
And
totally
Daryl, those aren't
got that.
they're not historic light fixtures, correct? I just want that clarification. They're more modern light fixtures that have been installed, correct?
They are new, yes.
Yeah. And they're not lantern-esque. They're not, no.
Okay. Gentlemen, do we have questions? The one over the back, the garage door, that one's appropriate, right, Roche?
Yes, we've done the gooseneck that's been in other areas as well, and especially with that being a 49 edition, where that does not bother me whatsoever.
It looked appropriate. I just wanted to check.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
Gentlemen, do we have any questions?
No.
Do we have a motion for COA 20-118?
I'll make the motion to recommend approval of COA 2118. My motion is based on the following findings: that the light fixtures installation is consistent with the lighting standards set forth in Section 4 of the Bardstown Historic District Design Review Manual.
Do we have a second? All in favor? Aye. All right, moving on to landscaping and COA 20-119.
You want to talk about that for us, Daryl? What you want to do? Oh, yes, and he wanted to remove a tree, and I did get that letter, Daryl, that you sent. I'm going to read that. Let me pull that up. After the COAs were sent out, correct, about removing that tree? Yeah.
Well, I had Robbie Smith send you an email on that, talking about the dogwood. And we will replace it with a dogwood, but a different species than the one that's in there now.
Can you just basically state what that letter stated? I just kind of want to go over that.
Well, I had him personally come up there and take a look at it, and the house was overgrown in ivy, and ivy had got and actually killed the tree. There's a little bit of it still living, but it was a dogwood, and he suggested that we take that one down and replace it with a different species of dogwood.
Okay, and then I'm looking at the sidewalks are all going to stay the same, correct? And then just add in boxwood and laurel, is that right?
Basically what I've done is I've given you a simple plan of boxwoods and laurels. I am right now having a landscaper looking at maybe adding some things different. And if I do that, then I will go back and submit my other $30 and have that approved.
I was going to say, I imagine. I imagine you could have this approved by Roche if you
I think I can.
Things.
That one doesn't scare me, Daryl. I think I can handle the landscaping.
Okay, good.
All right.
I do have some guide wires I'd like to try to hide. Joe, you listening?
Oh, Lord. Are you trying to bury electrical lines? Are we at that point too?
There he is.
Here he is.
Don't even try the guide wire thing tonight.
But yeah, right now it's just 4 or 5 spots around the house that we're trying to, and I may do something different between me and the old funeral home. But right now, to get by with what we're doing, we know we want to put some boxwoods and laurels in.
Okay. Could someone make a motion that includes any landscaping changes can be staff approved by Roche? If that's how you feel about it.
Yeah, okay. So I make a motion to recommend approval of COA 2119 with conditions that any changes, substitutions are approved by Riche at staff level. My motion on the following: the landscape alterations are consistent with the landscape standards set forth in section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All
Thank you,
right.
guys.
So that was 119, and moving on to 120, paint.
Yes, and you guys know notoriously the paint samples, that's why we require the, it really looks very different when I scan it in. I don't know how I can get it to look more accurate. I do the best I can, but my scanner does not do what it's supposed to do. So the first one is for the siding.
Anything
So
that's
what?
Can you hear me?
close to white and black, I don't think we're gonna have an issue with that. I mean, this
Oh,
is,
no, it's like a tan. It's a light tan, color on that. The siding is, and then the second one for the trim is white duck. I mean, it's a cream white, an off-white. Summer would be proud if she was here. And then the shutters, of course, are black of night.
yeah, I mean, even the samples in the scanner are not inappropriate,
Okay.
like, these aren't like
Purple.
crazy colors we might have to question. These are cream and white and black, like, do we need to address the shutters, or are those coming up next? And we know
They're
that
next.
they have, and we know that they were existing, so we'll just roll with
We
that.
got a photograph in that one, yeah, that shows them.
Okay. Gentlemen, do you have any more questions?
Does anyone hate the paint colors?
This is just for the siding, correct? Not for the brick. We're not painting any
No.
brick.
Oh,
right?
God, yes. Let's
No.
make clear that we're not planning the brick at
No.
all.
Yes, I just want to make sure that's clear.
Yeah, no, we're just the siding.
Okay. Gentlemen, do you have any more questions? And if not, will someone make a motion?
Just the hardwood.
I'll make the motion to recommend approval of COA 20-120. My motion is based on the following findings: that the paint colors are consistent with the paint standards set forth in section 4 of the Bardstown Historic District Design Review Manual.
Do we have a second?
I'd second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. And last but not least, the applicant wishes to install shutters at the property. They would be wood shutters that are louvered. And there is a historic photograph that is included with that application that shows that the house did have shutters previously, which is one of our requirements. We have to have proof it was there before. Daryl, do you have anything to add to that for me?
The front of the house is the ones that we're going to put the shutters on, and they are the original to the house. The only one that I have to make is on the lower left-hand corner. And I think you see a photo of what the original house looked like.
Yes.
correct?
And the shutters are on page 8 that he's got, the hardware and then the S-hooks, and then the photograph is on page 11 of that application.
And they will be mounted as either functional, or they will look as if they are functional.
No, they will be functional. They will have the mortise hinge in it with the S-hook holding it back.
Awesome. And as much as possible, all of the hardware will go into the mortar. I know sometimes, Riche, is this a requirement, or sometimes does it have to go into the brick because where it has to be mounted?
Sometimes it does have to a little bit, but as much as we can, of course, yeah.
The windows have been trimmed out in aluminum. And I would think that it would, the hinge bracket is probably going to have to be attached to the brick on each side of the window. Does that make sense?
That does, and he can't do much about that one. Yeah.
I understand. I just, as much as possible, if it can happen, we would rather it go into the mortar than the brick. But, we understand the location is, sometimes the location things have to go is where they have to go. But we do need to mention that we prefer it in the mortar.
Yep.
I'll do the best I can.
I appreciate that.
You.
Are there any questions, gentlemen?
Nope, I can't open
Alright.
mine.
Do we have a motion?
I can't open it.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of COA 20-121 with the following condition that best efforts are made to mount the shutters into the mortar and will allow staff to review that. My motion is based on the following findings. The shutter installations are consistent with the shutter standards set forth in Section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Now, Daryl, wait for next week for city council to give final approval on that, but then all the staff approvals, you can just give me a call, okay?
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.
I apparently didn't print everything.
That's okay. I've got you. The last two are provisional approvals, guys, or what is referred to as staff approvals. Provisional approval is what I believe Article 15 specifically states, but that means staff approval. So let me pull those up for you and get talking, because I'll be basically justifying why I've allowed them. I've already given permission for them to move forward. And so the one that is COA 20-108, it is the applicant proposes to replace the roof at 108 South 5th Street. It's a 3-tab shingle currently, which we all know we don't want anymore. It causes a lot of leaks, which is exactly what happened. So they want to replace the shingles with the architectural shingles that are estate gray, and that's included. It is almost literally in kind. The only difference is going from, you know, the current shingle to the architectural shingle, which is what we want. And so I went ahead and gave them approval to go ahead and do that. But when I do that, I'm not literally allowed to give approval for changes. So even if I give staff approval, Rick, this is a little bit of an explanation, I still have to have you all approve it. So even if I give staff approval, I have to make sure you guys are okay with it. And these next two are those circles.
Okay. And what was the other one?
That one, and then, so we'll have to vote on them individually. So that's 108.
20-108.
So, you want me to make a motion?
Okay.
I'll make the motion to recommend approval of COA 20-108. My motion is based on the following findings: that the roof replacement was consistent with the roofing standards set forth in Section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
Second.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. And what was the other one, Rashay?
Oh, this one's great. So this one is a COA 20-109, and this is for Mike and Susan Sloan. The applicant proposes to bury their electrical lines underground at 205 South 3rd Street. That literally states in our guidelines that we want that to happen. So I went ahead and gave them approval to do that, and they have done that.
All right. Do we have a motion for COA 20-109?
I make the motion to recommend approval of 20-109 based on the findings that burying the electrical lines is consistent with the streetscape set forth in Section 4 of the Bardstown Historic Design Review Manual.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent,
right.
guys. So there's a little bit of an issue too. Normally, if you all have questions, we can bring it up under new or old business. I found out today, because this is referred to as a special meeting because of COVID, I'm not allowed to discuss anything unless it's printed on there. So there is no new business or old business. And if you all have anything you want to discuss or bring up, we can just let me know that to the agenda next time, okay?
Okay. Well, and
Does
Rick,
everyone have?
I just wanted to thank Rick for joining us and doing such a great job tonight on the fly.
Well,
Yeah.
So,
Thank you, Rick. You've been excellent. We appreciate it.
I apologize for not knowing your figures, but I will get better.
I mean,
Oh, no.
how were you supposed to
Great.
know? You had to do a Zoom meeting for your first meeting with no preparation. So, you know. Congratulations, you did great.
Well, I look forward to meeting you guys face to face. I'd love to do some walking tours of town just to brainstorm and get ahead of some issues, but maybe that's on an agenda for discussion next month.
Absolutely. We can do that, Rick. Thank you. And Josh, I always miss you. Dang it. You're awesome.
You're awesome too.
Yay! We're like a family. It makes me so happy. We're an HRB family. I'm so happy. Okay. So the next meeting for HRB is September 15th, 2020. If any of you all have anything on new business or old business, send that to me beforehand. And if you have any questions or concerns, as always, please give me a call.
Will
I guess
do.
give me that number for the arborist if you have one.
Okay, I can do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Rashay, I would like to talk to you on the phone after the meeting as a friend.
Absolutely. Not a problem. I'll be here in the office.
All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.